وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي، أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning and thank you for being with us. This is the Local Connections with Khalil Hachem, editor of ZIYAD.Michigan.com, the fastest growing digital business magazine in the Middle Eastern communities in Michigan. Welcome to this spring day. It's nice and cool in the morning. It's sunny. There's a promise of a good weather today, and we are happy that everything is going well, that you are being with us. The number here is 248-557-3300. Please give us a call should you have a comment or question in Arabic or in English. Today is May 7th. The summer is around the corner. Summer, as you well know, is a busy month for our community traveling to the Middle East. What's new at the airport, and what do we need to know about traveling through the Wayne Metro County, the Wayne Metro Airport? And we normally there are different regulations. We have the pandemic. So we asked our friend Steve Lorincz, TSA Federal Security Director, to be with us today so we can talk about these new regulations, what we need to know, as a reminder as well. Good morning, Steve, and thank you for being with us. Steve?
I guess we...
Good morning.
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to your listening audience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I hope you've been well and safe and during these tough times. And what's going on at the airport?
Well, there's a lot of changes that have taken place, during the COVID pandemic and as moving forward. We are seeing passenger volumes increase on a daily basis. Currently, we're processing anywhere between 25 and 30,000 passengers a day flying out of Metro Airport. And those numbers, we're anticipating those numbers to increase as more citizens, individuals are getting vaccinated. So we anticipate some busy numbers for the summer, and the agency has been working hard making sure that, we're moving processes forward. We're identifying new technologies, and we're also hiring employees to make sure that we're ready to meet the summer traffic and volumes coming at us.
Absolutely. What kind of volume normally during the summertime?
On a busy day, we can see anywhere between 45 and 50,000. Flying out of Metro. So we're anticipating to be close to that in the June, July, and August time frame, kind of moving into the summer.
And how is the pandemic has affected or continue to, what we need to know and be aware of right now?
Yeah, so the most important thing that I would like the listeners to know is that the mask requirement has been extended to September 13th. So any modes of transportation that they're going to, use for moving into the summer, there's going to be a mask requirement in place. So that, coming to the airport, please make sure that you have a mask. If you don't, we do have some available that we will give the traveling public. As you board an airplane, you have to have a mask, and of course, as you are flying, you need to have your mask on. So that is something that is really important to note. The other thing that's really important to note that the Secretary of Homeland Security has extended the Real ID deadline. So the deadline was going to be October of this year, but based on the circumstances resulting from the COVID pandemic, the Secretary has extended that deadline to May 3rd of 2023. But we do encourage people to make appointments with the Secretary of State to work on getting their Real ID, because we want to make sure that, you know, we're getting ahead of that. We're being proactive in communicating, you know, with the citizens, kind of moving forward. And then, you know, the most important thing, you know, during this pandemic, the agency has done a lot to really get to a touchless solution. So when you come to the airport now, you know, it's almost like an ATM machine is probably the best description I can give. You handle your ID, your passports, you know, from a safety and health standpoint. You place it in a machine. The machine identifies your identity. We don't need a boarding pass. We don't need your mobile device. All we need is your government ID, whether that's a passport or a driver's license, and you will handle your actual ID. So we don't touch that. We're going to a touchless experience. Also here in Detroit and also nationally, we have done a great deal to make sure that, you know, the locations, we have implemented an enhanced cleaning for all locations. You're going to see a lot more acrylic barriers that provides protection not only for the passengers but also our employees. And then lastly, one of the things that we continue to do is roll out is new X-ray technology, which is really like a computed tomography technology, where we're asking people to reduce the items that they're taking out of their bags. And what's happening, our employees are able to look and rotate almost 360 degrees the 3D images. So what is enabling us is we're asking our passengers not to divest all the things that we have done in the past. So we have 5 of those units in Detroit. We'll continue to deploy those units over the next couple years. But we have done a lot to make sure that during this pandemic, the agency is investing in really touchless technology and procedural and enhanced cleaning pieces to make sure that our customers feel safe, our employees are safe. And I will tell you, our employees are doing an amazing job during some very, very difficult situations as we continue, you know, our journey to recovery during this pandemic.
Wonderful. Now, the Real ID, that's the enhanced driver's license. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And people can apply through the Secretary of State, any Secretary of State, and then get that. And it used to be called enhanced, and now it's called the Real ID, and that allows people to travel domestically. And if they have a passport, they don't need the Real ID. Is that correct?
That is correct. But, you know, as far as for domestic travel and things like that, we want to make sure that there are customers, and it's a driver's license, but it goes through the requirements identified. But you are absolutely correct.
Yeah. It is an additional level of security procedures. I have one, and it's very simple. And you go to the Secretary of State and get it done, and it's really life-saving. When I used to go to Windsor, and sometimes I used to forget my passport at home, and then they used to send me back. And now that I have the driver's license, if I forget my passport, it's not big of a deal. You mentioned jobs. What kind of jobs are those?
Yeah, so we're hiring frontline security officer positions in Detroit. So if there's anybody out there that would be interested, we post all our jobs on USA.gov, usajobs.gov, and we're going to hire probably about 60 to 70 employees. And so, full benefits, great starting salary, great retirement, And so if anybody's interested, I strongly encourage to check out the website and apply, and would love to have you join the Department of Homeland Security and the Transportation Security Administration.
Absolutely. Vaccination, has that started to play a role? Do you have to present your card anywhere? Are you required to be vaccinated anywhere yet?
So no, for traveling internationally, working with the airlines is going to be extremely critical. So I ask your listeners to go to the airline websites. International travel is coming back, but it's a bit slower. So there's requirements not only by the countries, but the airlines to make sure that there's vaccinations. But as far as coming through security, you are not required to do that. Just making sure that you have the mask on and making sure that we're doing certain things like social distancing, and then we're keeping really everybody safe.
Absolutely. People returning, are there any requirements? Do they have to take any tests, anything like that?
No, not at this point. And one of the things that we're seeing, we continue to see the number of folks that are being vaccinated increase on a daily basis. So, and we work really, really hard within our organization to make sure that we offer the opportunities for our employees to get vaccinated. And, a good majority of them have. And so, it's just good standards, making sure that we follow CDC guidelines, wash our hands. You can bring on additional sanitizer. A lot of this information, a lot of the changes that I'm talking about can be identified and it can be found on TSA.gov. As far as the mask mandate being extended, there's information about Real ID. There's information that, touchless screening, additional cleaning requirements that the agency has taken on. But, one of the things that I call it the one-stop shopping, go to TSA.gov and just make sure if you have any questions, there's information that you can ask or questions you can ask, and then we'll respond to you. But we just want to make sure that your listeners, understand the requirements, but also understand all the work that's being done to keep each of them safe and make sure that the system is recovering as we continue our journey.
Absolutely, and we appreciate all you do to keep us safe. Is there anything I haven't asked you that people need to know, and how can people reach TSA?
Yeah, so I would like to do just two reminders. TSA.gov has all the latest and greatest information, so if there's any questions regarding that, if there's any questions from any of your listeners as they go through the screening process, we have leadership supervision at those checkpoints. Please seek one out regarding that. We also want to make sure that people are identifying that the agency is working with the airlines and the airport to really simplify the screening and the flying experience. So if you're interested to opt into TSA PreCheck, one of the things that we're working on with the airlines and also the airports is to make sure if you're a PreCheck customer, you can check in with the airlines using biometrics. You can come to the checkpoints, you can use biometrics, and you could board an airplane using biometrics. And basically, what that means is facial recognition, information that you have on your driver's licenses, that photo or your passport or things of that sort. That is really going to be the wave of the future. We're not going to be using, all these different IDs and boarding passes and mobile devices. We're looking truly to simplify travel, but also move to a touchless experience so you can get on your journey, first of all, not only from a safety and security standpoint, but secondly, also from an efficiency and a customer service standpoint. So there's a lot of good information on TSA.gov, but there's, during these pandemic times, right, there's a lot of great things that's coming out, which is more of a touchless experience for our listeners this morning.
Wonderful. Steve, I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate your taking the time to be with us. As always, you provided a great information, and we wish you safe and happy summer. And if there is anything that we need to know and our listeners need to know, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to revisit the issue.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the opportunity this morning to spend time with you and your listeners, and all the best. A safe summer for everybody, and we look forward to seeing everybody at the airport.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned.
Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, and seafood dinners. Plus, they offer big trays of your favorite food and so much more. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab is located at 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills and is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So stop in or call Kashat's today at 248-538-9552. That number again, 248-538-9552. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied.
Are your hands feeling numb? Do you feel pain opening up a jar, turning a key? Are you noticing that your elbow and your shoulder are becoming stiff? Or were you recently injured in your arm? Hello, I'm Dr. Al-Majid Katranji, and at the Katranji Hand Center, which just recently opened down the street from the Somerset Mall, we can provide you with the latest in hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder care. Visit us at www.katranjihandcenter.com to learn the latest techniques that we have to offer you, and I look forward to taking care of you.
Visit us in Troy at 1565 West Big Beaver Road, Building F, or call Katranji Hand Center for an appointment at 248-869-4263. That's 248-869-4263.
ZIYAD brand. Quality products from our family to yours. ZIYAD Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. ZIYAD, quality products from our family to yours.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful, because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with the local connections with US Arab Radio and Michigan.com. As you well know, nearly more than 100 million Americans have been fully vaccinated, and more vaccines are going into arms every day. But new strains could hinder the success of the operation. How many new strains are there, and how do they affect vaccinated people? We asked our friend Dr. Zaher Sahloul to be with us. Dr. Zaher is a pulmonary and critical care specialist based in Chicago and a strong advocate of protecting civilians, children, healthcare workers, and human rights, and refugees in war situations. Dr. Sahloul, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Khalil, for having me. And Ramadan Mubarak.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
Thank you for waking up. You're in Chicago. You're a little bit more earlier than us. And on this Ramadan day, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning.
You're welcome. This is important.
Absolutely. So let's give a little bit update where we are in regard to the COVID and the vaccination.
I think in general, we have a good rollout in this country of vaccination. As everyone knows, more than 50% of the adults have been vaccinated already. We exceeded the expectations, or at least the Biden administration exceeded its goal in the first 100 days of the administration. And we're on our way to have 70% or so of the adults getting at least one shot of the vaccination by July 4th. This is a good milestone. And as we know, also Pfizer vaccination would be soon started to vaccinate children between age of 12 to 16. Right now, the only adults above the age of 16 can have access to vaccination, but soon children will start too. And also in the pipeline, children above age of 2 years old. So if everything went to plan and the vaccine hesitancy is addressed, because this is a major obstacle right now against vaccination reaching to herd immunity, then we're in our way to reach herd immunity, again, provided that vaccine hesitancy is addressed by maybe the end of summer, which is a great milestone. That means we won't have outbreaks of the COVID pandemic within the U.S. Europe is doing well. Other countries are doing well, like United Arab Emirates, Chile, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and other places that have been active on vaccinating its population. But unfortunately, many of the countries in the low-income and middle-income countries in the world are not. And this is a huge problem. We call it inequality or inequity of vaccination distribution, because they don't have access to the vaccination. So most of the rest of the world, especially in Africa and Asia and Latin America, are not vaccinated. And this is a huge problem, because that means they're prone to have spread of the virus and prone to have new variants that spread quickly. And it's more dangerous than the wild type. Wild type means the original COVID virus.
Sure. And how many new strains do we have?
Well, I mean, at least we have, of course, the common ones that everyone probably is aware of, the UK new strain. And these new strains are labeled by numbers, and these numbers are based on the changes on the protein or genetic material of the virus. So, for example, the UK one, which is the most common new strain, it's more transmissible and can cause more disease than the wild type. It's labeled B117. The Brazilian variant is P1. The South African variant, which is probably the most dangerous among the variants, is B1351. And then, of course, now we're aware that there's new variant in India. It's also B1617.
Mm-hmm. Are we protected as vaccinated people against these variances?
In general, yes. So with a few exceptions of the different types of vaccines. As we know, we have different types of vaccines. The ones that we are using in the U.S., the RNA messenger type, which is the Pfizer and the Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson. In general, they protect from the new variants. Also, Pfizer and Moderna are more protective against the new variants than Johnson & Johnson. The AstraZeneca that's used in the UK and many parts of the world is also protective against the UK variant, but not as much as the South African variant. So we have a problem against the South African variant. Recently, there was a study in Qatar which vaccinated its population in general using Pfizer vaccine. And that showed that the vaccine is effective against the South African and the UK variant, and these are the strains that are dominant now in Qatar. So this is very assuring. The Indian variant, we still have to study that, but in general, the initial study shows that the Indian vaccines that are used in India one of them is AstraZeneca vaccine, and the other one is different type of vaccine, are effective against the Indian variant. And also there was recently a new study in Israel that showed that people who were vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine are protected against the Indian variant, which started to spread in the rest of the world. There's 17 countries right now that have the Indian variant, which is called sometimes the double mutant or triple mutant variant. So that's also assuring. So in general, the bottom line that the vaccines that we have in this country and many countries in the world are effective against the new variant so far. Now, that doesn't mean that in the future we won't have new variants that are the vaccine are not effective against them because this virus keep evolving and keep changing and keep trying to evade what we have against it. And also in general, the South African variant looks like it's more resistant to some of the vaccines at least than other variants.
The fact that they change, is it because they go into so many people, or is it the nature of the virus itself changes?
I mean, that's a good question. All viruses change. We call it mutations. So the virus has, this virus has 29 proteins. It has 29,000 nucleic acids, which is the source of the genetic material that produces protein. So every time you have this virus going and replicating within the populations, every patient has millions of these viruses. Some of them will have changes. We call it mutations. So far, scientists have detected more than 5,000 mutations in the virus. But some of these mutations can change the function of the protein of the virus, especially the protein S. This is the most important part of the virus, the key of the virus to unlocking the doors of the cells. We call it protein S. If the function of the virus changed, then we call it a new strain. So far we have these 4 strains. There are also some evidence that we have New York strain and California strain, and I'm sure that there's possibility that we have other strains that are not detected, because in many countries they do not do virus sequencing. This is the only way to know if you have new changes in the virus. So when you have this virus spreading among millions of population, that increases the risk of mutations and new strains.
Now, you're the co-founder, president of MedGlobal, U.S.-based humanitarian organization that provides free healthcare to the displaced and refugees and victims of wars, and basically poor countries. Are you concerned that poor countries are not really getting the vaccines like they should?
Definitely, we are concerned. One of the countries, for example, that we are serving is Yemen, and Yemen has been witnessing really bad spread of the virus in this second surge in Yemen. Other countries are prone to have the same thing in Gaza. In Gaza Strip, also the same thing right now because of this inequality. Although Gaza Strip is very close to the occupying Israel, and Israel, vaccinated most of its population, but it did not do the same thing with the Palestinian population that it has responsibility to. So we have now upsurge in the number of infections in Gaza, and we're worried, of course, about the same situation in Bangladesh, in Sudan, in Syria, and other places. This inequality of vaccine distribution is terrible. First of all, it's morally repugnant, and everyone should be advocating for the same thing, that populations in the rest of the world should have access to vaccine. Of course, these countries do not have enough money to purchase the vaccine or purchasing power or negotiation power with Pfizer and Moderna, so they don't have access the same way that the United States and Canada have. And the second thing, that if the virus keeps spreading in these countries, it will affect us eventually. So we should be, as a country, able to spread the vaccine in these countries and vaccinate the population in the world, not only in the U.S.
Absolutely. It's really interesting that every day the calls here come please get vaccinated, and we have more vaccines than people need, and other countries are really trying very hard to get enough, and this is really the unfairness of the system. We hope that something will be done about it. So at the same time, even though we're vaccinated, we should maintain social distancing somewhat and be protected with masks and so forth and so on too. make sure we're not affected by new strains. Is that correct?
Definitely, although, recently there's some relaxing of the preventive measures for the people who are vaccinated, especially if you're out in the public. And I'm sure that in the next few weeks we will see more of the relaxation of these measures, because studies have showed now that if you are vaccinated, then you are protected from even getting infected or spreading the virus, which is the big thing, which means that maybe soon life will return to near normal in the countries that have vaccinated the majority of its population. So this is an incentive for everyone who still have issues with the vaccine to vaccinate themselves and their family. It protects you, it protects your family, it protects your community, so everyone should get vaccinated. Vaccines are safe and effective, especially against the new strains. By the way, the Biden administration have right now donated a lot of vaccines that we have on stock to other countries, as also recently said that they will relax these patent measures that pharmaceuticals have. So that means other countries in the world can produce their own vaccines if they know how to produce them. And also this is a major step towards vaccine equity and equality in the world.
Wonderful. Dr. Sahloul, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. This is valuable information. And I want to thank you, and happy Ramadan and happy Eid, which is next week. And as always, your information is valuable and right on point.
Thank you very much, Khalil. Happy Ramadan, happy Eid to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Enjoy the first Syrian-style cuisine in Michigan. At Damas Cuisine and Catering, you'll find a wide selection of Syrian foods and sweets in our menu, like frike, hoizi, grape leaves with steak, mashawi platter, hot mahashi, char-grilled kebab, shawarma, and much more. Get super fast delivery from Damas Cuisine and Catering right to your door. Order online at damascuisine.com/menu and track your order live. Damas Cuisine and Catering, 28841 Orchard Lake Road in Farmington Hills. Call 248-987-4985. At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
While we've been staying safe at home, scientists have been on a journey. The destination, a COVID-19 vaccine. This journey began decades ago with research into other coronaviruses. Scientists built from there with months of research and development, cooperation with other experts worldwide, and clinical trials on tens of thousands of volunteers of diverse race, age, and health status. They arrived at a safe, effective vaccine, and hundreds of thousands in Michigan have already been vaccinated. But the next step is ours. We need to get the vaccine when we can. Keep wearing masks correctly and taking precautions until we reach our destination, freedom from COVID-19 and getting back to the lives we love. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with the Local Connections on US Arab Radio and YamMichigan.com. As you well know, the housing market is on fire. It's just unbelievable. And, you put a house for sale, and then it's sold right away above market value, above asking price. It's just like, it's unbelievable. That's nationwide, not just in Michigan. The commercial market is a little bit different. We have different issues going on, and just wanted to get an idea what is really going on with the commercial market today. And we asked our friend Joumana Judeh to be with us. She's president of Judeh Associates, and she's an expert on commercial real estate. Good morning, Ms. Judeh.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good, and thank you for taking the time to be with us.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, the housing market is on fire. What's going on with the commercial real estate market?
Well, the commercial real estate market is going through a change that it is not anticipated to go back to whatever normal that existed pre-COVID. Specifically, the office market is being hardest hit because people have figured out that they can be just as productive from home as they are in the office. And a lot of employees are choosing not to go back to the office. The majority of the office workers were surveyed, and the majority stated that they want a hybrid of working from home and being in the office for a couple of days. That is going to reduce demand for office space dramatically. The office market has already been very hard hit with lack of demand for office space, and that is not going to change. We are not going to go back to 100% working from the office. That's one. Two, the retail market is also experiencing a pendulum shift because now the consumers have gotten used to shopping online. They've seen now how easy it is, how you don't have to go shopping from building to building, and they've gotten used to it. So while consumers still like to go to the store, to brick and mortar, to the malls and walk around and do some shopping that way, they will continue to do a tremendous amount of shopping online. So the retail industry is also hit, and we've seen that in the Detroit area. Most of our malls in the Detroit area are either in bankruptcy, receivership, or struggling financially. I mean, even the Partridge Creek Mall is struggling, and that's a relatively new mall. Eastland Mall, Northland Mall, of course, Fairlane, of course, Southland Mall, Westland Mall. So the industrial district, however, that sector is still thriving. As you know, the supply chain has been hampered by the pandemic. So whatever is hitting the industrial district right now is mostly due to the supply chain. And once that supply chain gets back on track, the industrial district should be able to get back on track. It does not experience the same problems as the office district does or the retail district.
Absolutely. So what's going to happen with all these buildings? I mean, we're going to have a lot of empty buildings or reduced capacity as far as retail and office.
They are going to have reduced capacity, reduced demand, so demand is greater than supply. And we're going to have to, put our creative hat on and come up with, repurpose these buildings. For example, Fairlane Mall, when it lost, its department store anchors, they repurposed that space to office, and Ford Motor Company came in. So these office buildings are going to have to find a way to repurpose the use and a creative way to bring people into the buildings. And I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if the answer is having a gym in the building. Of course, gyms are not at full capacity right now. Maybe having a wine bar or a piano bar. I'm not really sure because even the restaurant businesses are still struggling. I think this is a long-term problem for the retail and office markets, and they're going to have to find a way to create demand for whatever might be out there.
And that hasn't really affected prices. I see prices are still a little bit either where they were or still high in regard to retail and office, even though some of these buildings are empty.
I'm not seeing that. I've been working in this industry for over 25 years. The retail and office markets are not experiencing an appreciation in value. They are still struggling with collecting rents. Bankruptcy rates are very high for retailers right now, which means they're not paying their rents. Landlords are still struggling to collect their rents, both for the office and especially in the retail industry. I am not seeing in any way, shape, or form that there's an increase in value in the retail and office districts. On the contrary, what we are starting to see is a lot of tax appeals being filed because of a dramatic decrease in revenue. And as you know, lack of revenue means lack of value. So when your revenue...
Value, exactly.
So, and even the hospitality...
And when you say tax appeal, you mean that the people are asking to reduce their taxes because their value has gone down.
Exactly. And the good thing that, this is great timing that I'm on your show, because for non-residential tax appeals, at least in the state of Michigan, the deadline is May 31st. So there's still plenty of time for people to do that.
Okay, absolutely. And now you do some of that, and if people need help, they can call you. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we're seeing a dramatic increase right now, especially with the hospitality market. Their occupancy rates went from 70% down to 10%. So the hotel owners, are appealing for help.
Absolutely. And if I were to be an investor looking to invest right now, it's very frustrating. I mean, should I buy now? Should I buy and sit on it? Is this the right time for me to buy? Is it going to get worse?
I think first of all, there's a lot of cash out there. So if people have the cash, this is a buyer's market, especially in the retail and office markets. So if you can buy, but you're able to withstand the reduced income for, maybe 2 or 3 years, then I would definitely say that you should buy and wait for the pandemic to, come around. Because it will. Eventually, the market will settle itself. This is what the market does. Whenever there's a shift in the market, eventually over time, the shift is taken care of, and the market will absorb demand and supply, and we will all go back to normal. Now, the demand and supply could be very different than the pre-COVID, but eventually these properties will become repurposed based on demand. Eventually, occupancy rate, may not go up to where it was pre-COVID, but at least it'll increase to a level where, some of these landlords can at least afford to purchase these properties. But I caution people, if you're going to buy, be ready for at least reduced income for the next 2 to 3 years, because the economists are talking about, that it's going to be the first or second quarter of 2022 before we start seeing some stability. They're talking about a recession coming around the corner. Our treasurer, the U.S. treasurer, is pushing to have interest rates go up, although the chairman of the board of the Federal Reserve has refused that. But so there's writing on the wall that the interest rates are going to start going up. So if anyone has the money to buy, especially cash is king right now. This is a good time to buy.
And I mean, people using cash, they can really name their price right now.
Absolutely, because owners are tired. No one anticipated, no one saw this disaster coming. So if you buy and you plan for reduced income, you're in a better position. These landlords did not have a reserve to plan for the kind of disaster that took occupancy from 70% to 10%, or tenants not paying rent. There was no reserve. No one anticipated this change, which is a good lesson for any property owners to always have at least 6 to 8 months, preferably a year reserve, so that if something else happens, you're able to react.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when people ask me, and I always say to them when investing in commercial that you need to have reserve, but you know, very few people really listen. How is the what do you call it? The housing as far as you know, like the apartment buildings, you know, the large apartment buildings, are those affected? You know, it seems like people are still paying rent, or are we in any trouble there?
Well, the apartment buildings, as you know, they had a government moratorium placed on them that they could not evict tenants who were not paying their rent. And that hit landlords very hard. You know, they weren't collecting rent. They still had to maintain the properties, and they couldn't evict the tenants. So when the moratorium expired, they started the eviction process. But if anyone has ever gone to landlord-tenant court, it takes a long time to evict a tenant. So you're looking at 2 to 3 months, plus you've already lost, you know, let's say 8 to 10 months of rent. So the apartment complexes are still hurting because they say the unemployment rate is low right now, but you have to look at how the unemployment rate is calculated. When you stop looking for a job, you are not counted as unemployed. The women that have given up their careers to stay home with their kids are not being counted as unemployed. So there is still over 1 million people in the United States that are unemployed because of the pandemic. And the sad thing, the majority of them will not go back into the workforce. That is going to have a dramatic effect on the apartment complexes. They are hurting because of the moratorium, because of the court system, because a lot of the courts are not even open for eviction, or you have to go through an online process. It is extremely difficult for a landlord to evict a tenant, even if the courts were open, but now the courts are closed, and it makes it that much more challenging.
Absolutely. You know, I noticed there's one demand that continues to be high, which is buildings for marijuana growing and marijuana associated. You know, it's just amazing these numbers that people are, and these prices that people are offering in the cities that are allowing it. It just has kind of a little bit helped in the industrial areas where there are some warehouses and other places.
The marijuana business is booming. Absolutely. They are paying higher than asking prices. They're paying probably 3 to 4 times what the asking prices are. But that's very tricky because you have to be first in a city that approves marijuana, because even though the state approved it, the cities can still opt out. But once a city approves it, then you got to go through, you know, you have to be 1,000 feet away from a house or whatever. But once a property is identified that meets all the specifications of a grow or a distribution, their property values have gone up. However, keep in mind, once a grow comes into a community, that's it. It's going to be very difficult to bring somebody else in. So just because someone paid $200 a square foot for an industrial building doesn't mean the guy next door is also going to get it, because there's only going to be one grow and it's already come in. But yes, there is tremendous demand for marijuana, especially with that it is approved for recreation. You're seeing them all over the place, mostly, like you said, in industrial districts, because that keeps them away from the residential neighborhoods.
Yeah, yeah. And are we near, in general, are we near the bottom? Are we near, in the commercial real estate? Are we near the bottom?
I think we're closer to the bottom than we were in 2020. I think we're getting there. What we're starting to see is employers are forcing their employees to become vaccinated. Some employers are paying them. The city of Detroit is paying people to vaccinate. I think once, people are starting to catch on now that the vaccine is critical for the advancement. I mean, look at our governor. She said, the higher the vaccine rate goes up, the more we get to open back for business. So, yes, I think we're getting to the bottom. We're not there yet. People are not expecting it to get to the bottom until maybe the third or fourth quarter of this year. So the most important thing, Khalil, is people have to get vaccinated. If they want the economy to lift, if they want the economy to go back to normal, if they want to be able to have whatever normal is in terms of a lifestyle, they have to encourage everyone around them to get vaccinated, because the governor is not going to open the state if we're still at 51% vaccinated.
Absolutely. And when it comes to repurposing buildings, what should we keep an eye on so we kind of understand what the trend is for as far as investing?
So, the other day I saw an article on LinkedIn which really amazed me, but this goes to demand. Churches in certain urban areas, as an example, like in the city of Detroit, have shut down. Even in the suburbs, some churches have shut down because there's, demographics are shifting, demand is shifting.
Yeah.
So I saw this very neat article where a church got repurposed into a piano bar, which, putting emotions aside, I'm Catholic, and it'd be hard to say, okay, I get that my church is going to become a piano bar, but, what do you want? Do you want an abandoned building in your neighborhood, or do you want to repurpose it based on some demand that exists in your neighborhood? A lot of schools have repurposed into shelters. They've repurposed into community organizations. Green space is becoming much more active. Daycare, when these women go back to work, is going to be high in demand. Our population is aging, so medical office will always be a strong investment. And then the millennials, the millennials and the Gen Z, those people, especially Gen Z, the young kids now are coming up, they want hip, they want urban, and they're willing to pay for it. They've got their money, and the millennials have their money, and they want this trendy living style, and they're paying for it. I mean, look at the condominiums being built downtown Detroit in Brush Park, where they're paying $1 million for a condo that's 1,800 square feet, but it's across the street from, the stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I really thank you for taking the time to be with us. Is there anything I haven't asked you that people need to know?
I think people need to practice patience right now with the market, especially investors. If you don't need to sell, hold your own right now. Be patient. The market is going to come around, and the economists are looking for it to come around next year. So just be patient. Don't make any hasty decisions just because, you don't have the money. Bankers are working with their investors, with their clients on the money situation. And if you believe that, you have a tax appeal, there's a lot of people out there that help with tax appeals, including myself. But I will caution that, there's a lot of hoops to jump through in terms of tax appeals. And lack of revenue is not the sole indicator of lack of value when it comes to the tax appeal laws in the state of Michigan. But, it's an option. It's an option that comes with expenses. So if you can't afford to file a tax appeal, it's going to be hard for you to file the tax appeal. But I think patience.
Absolutely.
Just patience right now.
Yeah. And if anybody needs to reach you in regard tax appeal, how can they reach you?
My phone number at the office, and I'm happy to work with anyone who is interested. I even take the time to educate people if they don't have a case or they have a case. I'm happy to educate people on the process. My phone number is 313-277-1986.
Okay. And you have a website?
Yes, it's judehonline.com. That's JUDEHonline.com, which is my last name, judehonline.com. And if you go to the home page, there is a place for you to click to tax appeals.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time for being with us this morning.
Khalil, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope you have a blessed day and be safe.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937. Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you to Steve Lorincz, thank you to Dr. Sahloul, and thank you to Joumana Judeh for being with us. Thank you for Mike for a great production. Have a wonderful weekend and safe weekend, and stay safe. Thank you. Bye now.